Omega-6 is pro-inflammation. Almost zero of his energy is coming from carbs because he wants to keep his blood sugar stable, but he's also terrorizing his arteries and liver.
Nutrition is one of those things that makes an absolutely massive difference to mountain bikers.
And we're going to stop right there and say hello. My name's Plant Powered MTB, Dr. Alex Pastesi. We're going to talk about what this gentleman would like to tell people about nutrition changes for breakfast, riding snacks, milk, and my genuine reaction as a certified plant-based nutrition doctor. Let's see what he's going to say. I can already see it's not going to be good.
It helps you recover properly between rides, it improves
Correct. If you do it right.
your energy and your concentration, it helps you lose weight and stay
If you eat the right foods.
in shape. It's hugely important, but if you're honest with yourself, over the past 7 days, how much dedicated attention did you actually give to thinking, right, what am I eating today? What did I eat yesterday? How could I improve my nutrition?
Absolutely correct. A lot of people do not track or really know what's going in and out of their body.
If you're like most people, it probably wasn't that much, and that's okay, but if you can just tweak your mindset slightly and start to pay attention to what you're eating, both day to day, before you ride, during a ride, and after a ride, it will make a massive difference to not only your riding, but also to your life in general as well. You'll just feel so much better if you eat better. So in this video, I'm here in my kitchen and at home, and I'm going to talk through 4 tips that you can make, you can use to improve your nutrition both day to day and also on the bike.
Yes, you should do things at home. I 100% agree. Buying real ingredients and real foods in their whole form and combining them yourself to make your own delicious food is the best option. Don't rely on fast food and eating out and ordering stuff. It's not going to really be financially sustainable or actually healthy in the long term. It's just a waste of time. Don't waste your time and money.
So I hope you really enjoy the video. If you're enjoying MTB Fitness videos like this, please make sure you like this video because YouTube will then show it to more people, and also make sure you subscribe as well.
We'll see about that.
Have a good breakfast. So if you think about the start 10 minutes late and
I actually think it's better to have a good dinner the night before than a good breakfast. You want to fill up your energy reserves, which are your muscles and liver glycogen stores, with a really hearty dinner, and you need at least 3 hours to process all of that. It's really beneficial if you process all that while you're sleeping, and then wake up the next morning and evacuate your bowels so that you're nice and light on the bike ride in the morning.
and then your whole day from there has just been rushed. You've rushed to work, you're trying to catch your tail better and go so much better because you're more organised. Something like sugar puffs, for example. And then what will happen is immediately first thing in the morning, you're going to spike your sugar levels, and then
Oh, carb phobia. This guy is telling you that you have to be careful not to eat too much fuel that is optimal for your body. So even if it's processed cereal, if you're about to hop on the bike, you want it to digest fast, which a processed cereal will do and will provide you energy immediately. What he's about to tell you, which is on his counter there, is going to take at least 3, maybe 4 hours for it to be metabolized by the digestive system and provide any form of energy. And by that time, the ride will already be over. So this is a waste of time. We'll also talk about how these ingredients are going to slow down your digestion and cause problems while you're actually making the effort.
and then about an hour later, half an hour later, you're going to get a crash in those sugar levels. Now, your
That is not true if you have filled glycogen stores from the night before, like I just said.
blood sugar levels essentially need to stay stable through the day. So
Yes, and that stability is dependent on fiber, and fiber comes from fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, not from what's on the counter there. oil, eggs, stuff in a bag, and coffee.
So they should stay
And a cheese shredder, I'm sure.
nice and stable, nice in the middle. If you have a high
So if you're burning fat all day long, you're actually not burning the optimal fuel source for humans, which is carbohydrates. You're trying to adapt your body to some form of evolutionary survival mechanism, which is going to slow your performance and recovery down.
sugar food straight away, you spike your blood sugar levels, and then they come crashing back down.
What he's talking about is nonsense because that does not actually happen when you eat fruits and vegetables, or even if you eat certain processed cereals or oatmeal or fruit smoothie, you have fiber present. If you're having things without fiber or very low in fiber, then yes, you can have these blood sugar spikes. So you should look at cereals to have as many grams of fiber per serving as possible. A good indicating ratio is a 5-to-1 carbohydrate grams to fiber ratio. If you divide the total number of carbs per serving by the total number of grams of fiber per serving, and it's somewhere near 5, that's a good indicator. If it's somewhere near 15 or 30, like for example, if there's only 1 gram of fiber but 35 grams of sugar, that's not a good cereal to eat. But you can find the optimal cereals to eat, which are more based on whole food ingredients rather than processed, refined ingredients.
Below this kind of midpoint. Now when that does happen, you'll find that you get hungry, you start to lack energy and struggle to concentrate, you might get a little bit moody.
This is probably because you did not have a high carbohydrate, glycogen replenishing dietary intake from the night before.
And what you'll find is that you'll look for the next sugary snack. So if you have a high carb, high sugar breakfast at say 8 a.m, around 10 a.m, you'll be looking for something else sugary because your blood sugar levels will be down here and you're
That's not true. And he's basing it on his hand motions, which are not actually scientific.
trying to spike them back up. You might have some biscuits, spikes your sugar level and brings it crashing back down.
Again, he's talking about fiberless refined foods. You should not use those as staples. You should use whole grain, whole food ingredients like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grain flours, minimally refined foods. And sometimes for athletes, it's better to eat actually better to eat a minimally processed food that provides quick digestion in the moment so you can actually use that energy rather than something that will constipate you or slow you down and deliver energy 2 to 3 to 4 hours later when you actually don't need it anymore. You'll have a better recovery, but during your performance, you'll be suffering trying to digest food that you're not actually intaking energy. You're wasting energy trying to digest hard to digest foods.
And you'll get to lunch and you'll have something like a sandwich with some crisps and some biscuits or like a bit of chocolate, something like that. A lot of carbs,
More high fat foods and processed foods, not talking about actual foods.
a lot of sugar in there. And again, you're going to spike your blood sugar levels and bring it crashing back down. So what can happen is that your breakfast, if you don't eat the right foods to start your day with, it sets you up to lose really for the rest of the
If you don't eat a good dinner the night before, then you definitely will have a terrible breakfast because you'll wake up hungry and unable to perform. You'll still be looking for food instead of being ready to get on the bike. And you will then eat something, as he's about to tell you, that's going to slow you down and feel like an anchor in your stomach rather than something that uplifts your performance and helps you.
day because you need to eat the right things in the morning to give you the good amount of energy through the day and just
You need to eat the right things the night before so that you can wake up with energy in the morning to make clear decisions that are not bad for you so that the rest of your morning goes well into lunch.
to help avoid you getting to the points where you're starving and lacking energy and you're reaching for those crappy
If you're starving, you already failed from the night before, from the day before, to replenish your glycogen sources. You should be able to go a few hours after waking up without eating, it's really not that big of a deal. I trained for the past 10 years on an empty stomach for the most part because I've replenished my glycogen sources fully from the night before, eating a high carb, low fat, non processed or minimally processed food, plant based diet, no oil. So I have energy to go. And I know a lot of people that live this lifestyle and athletes that are high carb athletes, they depend on this for energy and they know this mechanism takes time. It doesn't happen right away as soon as you eat breakfast. It does happen the way he's describing it if you eat high fat foods and processed foods for dinner that don't replenish your glycogen stores, and you wake up hungry and you make bad decisions, and then you're like, oh, let me keep my blood sugar stable instead of let me refuel myself so that I have energy for the next day.
Foods. So the best thing to start your day with, and what I start my day with pretty much every day, is a good source of protein and
Good source of protein. Protein gets converted into fat, which takes 3 to 4 hours to metabolize through the liver. And it's also what he's describing right now is not just a source of protein, it's a source of high fat.
good fats with some carbs as well. So the carbs are kind of optional, it depends what you run well off, but I like to have both your protein, your fats, and the carbs as well. So every morning I'll make myself some scrambled eggs with some cheese on. So I'll just do 3 scrambled eggs, scrambled in the pan, put some grated cheese on, I'll eat those, and then after that I'll also have some Weetabix as well, so 3 Weetabix.
So if we do the actual chronometer nutrition facts of what he's doing right here, you're just going to see it's mostly saturated fat and cholesterol, very little phytonutrients, phytochemicals, anti-inflammatory compounds, anti-cancer compounds, brain-protecting compounds. It's literally disease-promoting ingredients. You have food that's linked to diabetes, food that links to loss of calcium in your bones and poor bone mineral density. Uh, Breast cancer, prostate cancer, osteoporosis, autoimmune disease, allergies. Like, literally, this is the number one allergen and the most food poisoning causing food ever if you don't
With some
prepare it
milk.
right.
If you want it to be super
Milk, cow's milk, because he's a baby cow.
healthy, you can be better than Weetabix. You could probably have porridge, for example, that would be less processed and slightly better for you. But for me, I just find that Weetabix is probably one of the
So he's telling you processed cereal is better than oatmeal, which is a more integral food. It's a more whole food. It will deliver better energy with a more sustainable blood sugar delivery rate than Weetabix. But Weetabix is still good if you're going to go riding. It's not going to be go well with this chicken menstruation here that is a equivalent to eating a double bacon cheeseburger's worth of saturated fat and cholesterol.
healthier cereals you can have.
The best thing in the morning is to not clog your arteries with high fat foods. This fat will float around. Like I said, it will take 2 to 3 hours to metabolize. In the meantime, it floats around your arterial system, clogs your arteries literally by increasing your blood's viscosity. You now have literal fat particles in your blood that's causing agglutination of blood, which makes it more difficult to reach your deep, small vessels and tissues. You have rouleau formation, you have all kinds of inflammatory signs, and you also have deactivation of your blood vessels. Literally, your nitric oxide doesn't work to open your blood vessels anymore because of this high fat foods. For 2 to 3, 4 hours after eating this, you will have paralysis in your arterial system, an inability to relax and dilate your arteries under high blood pressure, which is going to happen when your heart starts pumping above 130, 140 BPM.
That's super easy to prepare and it just tastes good. I enjoy
It's super easy and it will definitely not help your performance.
eating it. So
Actually, consuming this is going to take, like I said, 3 to 4 hours to metabolize. It's going to take at least an hour to sit in your stomach and process all that protein. High protein and high fat content is going to spike the release of acid in your stomach, which, if you are at risk for any form of ulcer, because the stomach lining is very thin and delicate, only one cell layer thick, and constantly bombarding it with higher than necessary acid levels by eating high fat and high protein foods, predisposes you to ulcerations. Stomach ulcer, duodenal ulcer, esophageal reflux, and then later on the line, if this continues, a perforation, which can result in very quick, painful death, or gastric cancer, or irritable bowel disease, or Crohn's disease, or other autoimmune problems. Eggs are also the number one food allergy and the number one thing to cause food contamination problems, like infections with E. coli. And that's because the exit hole of the chicken is not only for eggs, it is also for urine and feces, which come in contact with the egg upon delivery.
Medium to slow release carbohydrate, and then that will keep me fuller for much longer. And if we're back to this kind of ideal level where we want our blood sugar,
Oh, we're back to the hand motions. No actual numbers or values or scientific information, just some, he looks like he's doing a dab right now. It's a dance move.
it will stay within this line and it won't crash the same. So when you get 2 or 3 hours after your breakfast, your sugar levels are coming down a little bit, but they're not right down here, which they would be if you had a high sugar breakfast without any protein and without any fats. And then
This is absolute nonsense. If you didn't have any fiber, yes, but if you have fiber containing foods like fruits, then you will have stable blood sugar because fiber coats your glycocalyx and microvilli, the little fingers on the intestinal surface of the intestine. It coats it and does not allow for a sudden rush of carbohydrates like this gentleman is saying. It doesn't happen if you eat whole foods. If you eat processed foods without fiber and animal products that are high fat and high protein and definitely don't contain any fiber, then yes, when you finally eat a banana, you'll have a blood sugar spike. If you're avoiding carbohydrates, you cannot process carbohydrates. It's very simple.
then you'll find that you can have a healthy snack, you can have a healthy lunch, and your blood sugar levels
Just because you say healthy in front of things doesn't mean they're actually healthy.
then will just kind of stay in this sweet spot throughout the day. And this will mean that you've got more energy.
It's funny because he wants to stay in a sweet spot, but he's afraid of glucose.
You find your mood's better, you've got more motivation, you don't have those massive dips in concentration, and it just all around sets you up for the day really well. So breakfast really is important.
Also, clogging your arteries of the penis results in erectile dysfunction, which is the first silent sign of heart disease in young men like this gentleman here. Even he could be affected by it and already be on Viagra. Sildenafil, which is designed to open up the blood vessels and allow blood to enter those microcirculations, which are actually clogged with animal fat and oil.
When it comes to setting you up nicely for the day. Quick interlude, my girlfriend is lactose intolerant, so she can't eat dairy, so she has
That's because she is not a baby cow, and neither are you.
lactose-free milk. Now I found I was just having
Wow, so she went through all the process of buying a milk that is still from a cow but has the lactose removed because she doesn't have the enzyme to digest lactose. The enzyme is called lactase. As we stop breastfeeding, we are losing this enzyme in our intestine. Some people are lucky to keep having this enzyme present in the intestine because of the bacteria that feed on the dairy. So if you are able to keep breaking down lactose using lactase, then good job. But you're not a baby cow and you don't need to be consuming bovine mammary secretions for energy or pleasure. It doesn't really make sense. So if you're going through all the trouble of buying an alternative milk, you should just reach literally like 5 inches to the left or to the right of that and look for soy milk, organic, unsweetened. You've got hemp milk, chia milk, cashew milk, pea protein milk, oat milk, coconut milk. Literally any of these are better than what he's saying, and he doesn't say it.
Normal milk for a long time, and every time I'd have some, I'd end up getting very slight stomach cramps, like very slight. I'd get a little bit bloated.
Yeah, you're not supposed to eat this. You're not a cow. Milk is designed to raise a little baby calf that's born around 65 pounds and is designed to make it grow very rapidly in 6 months to 600 to 700 pounds. And this comes with hormones IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, which is responsible for the growth of tumors from initial small tumors, microscopic tumors, helps them develop into macroscopic tumors. Dairy is pro-constipation. Casein and whey proteins in dairy bind to nutrients, rendering them inactive, and literally taking all the vitamins and minerals that you would need and allowing them to make it all the way to the toilet in your feces. So, no, you should not be drinking milk if you're a human being, and you should not be consuming lactose removed milk because that is not the solution here. You're you're still getting saturated fat, cholesterol, and inflammatory reactions from this food. It's not a food. It's baby cow formula, growth formula.
And I'd be burping and whatnot for the next hour or two. Ozzy always used to take the mick out of me on my rides. So I actually one day decided to start using lacto-free with Sophie, and the difference for me is massive. So it's just a really quick tip. All it has is it has the lactose taken out of it. So that's the bit that most people are slightly intolerant or sensitive to. So for me, I'm not intolerant, but I'm clearly slightly sensitive to dairy. So if for any
So you still didn't learn your lesson. This is going to come with long-term chronic health outcomes. And the sooner you realize you're not a baby cow and stop consuming these secretions, which, by the way, come from horrible sources, even the grass-fed, organic, happy farms, they all have a terrible, terrible story behind the happy milk that you think you're drinking. The cows have to be impregnated first, and that involves sex between animals normally, but because this is an industry, this is done forcibly. The males are sampled for their semen using an anal ejaculation machine that electrifies their prostate glands and produces semen against their will, of course, and without their consent. Then that semen is taken and sold to the highest bidder and used to inseminate a female cow with multiple forms of what can be described only as torture devices. And the industry actually calls it a rape rack because they have to insert the entire arm of the farmer past the elbow onto the shoulder into the anus so that they could reposition the cervix and uterus to allow the metal rod to be inserted to inject the semen of the bull. And that's where milk comes from. And that's why you shouldn't support it, because not only does the milk have to come from a pregnant cow, the milk is supposed to go to a baby cow, which is then killed. And they will never see its mother ever again after day one of being born. They will become veal or they will become dairy machines like their mothers. Males are useless and are killed.
Anyway, if you're thinking, oh, I do that, I have a cup of tea and I get bloated after, or I have some cereal, I get bloated, try switching to dairy. Make sure that you hydrate properly. So,
Wow, you finally said some good advice. Definitely should drink water.
I drink over 2 litres of water a day, and when
You should get really like 3 or 4, and you should aim for a clear urine.
salts and getting the right things that you need while you're out riding. There's some really common side effects with drinking too little and being dehydrated that you may just not know. It can be as simple as getting headaches, getting a dry mouth and a dry throat,
Headache is the first sign of dehydration. Absolutely correct.
and that kind of thing. You can find that your concentration is much lower than it should be.
So we'll just skip to the next section.
I'll give you. Tip number 3 of a really good change you can make to your nutrition is to make sure you eat enough whilst you're riding. So on a ride longer than 2 hours, you want to make sure that you're eating every 30 to 45 minutes.
I agree with that.
Now, most of the time, just a snack of something like a flapjack, for example, half a flapjack, some medium release carbohydrate is perfect. Maybe every 2 to 3 hours, if you're on a really epic long ride, you want to have something more substantial with some protein in there, like a chicken sandwich.
Yeah, like a chicken sandwich. So more saturated fat and cholesterol and inflammation to your arteries while you're riding.
An example,
More digestive taxation on your liver.
or a cheese sandwich, or something like that, or planning a lunch break and have a jacket
So he's telling you that he can't drink milk, but he eats a cheese sandwich. That don't make sense.
potato, like some solid food. But
Potato.
that's really
Potato. Yes. Eat a potato. Correct. Not a deep fried potato, not Burger King French fries. If you're looking for the peak performance gain, eat a sweet potato, eat a regular potato, yams, plantains, bananas, rice cakes.
on rides that are kind of 4 hours plus. And anything below that, eating every 30 to 40 minutes with medium release carbohydrate tends to work well.
I would add here fruit juices and smoothies. If you can take one of your bottles, instead of it being water, to be like mango juice or pineapple juice, or even to mix in maple syrup into your water or raw cane sugar into your water, you will use that in the moment, and you do not have to worry about becoming diabetic because you're literally fueling your body with gasoline, and you would fuel a car with gasoline. You would not be concerned, oh, is this gas going to harm my car? Uh, Unless it's a bad source of gas, you know that it's not going to harm your car because your car is designed to run on that gasoline.
Well, now I also like to carry some emergency sweets when I'm out riding as well. And then if I find I'm getting really hungry or my energy's dipping or I've got that last half an hour to get me home, I can then sort of grab some sweets and have that energy boost. So just at home, I've got the world's biggest stash of sweets with various
Here's a big failure. Look at that. This is a product placement sponsoring moment where you're told to eat more dairy products by a person who's lactose intolerant or lactose sensitive.
different bits and bats in there. You know, you've got loads of different jelly beans and stuff. I've got some energy gels in there.
A lot of these jelly candies are based on animal gelatin, and gelatin is literally powdered animal bones because the skeletons of animals are too much to actually dispose of in large graveyards. There are approximately 120 billion land animals killed every year for food and profit, so they can't cremate it and they can't bury it and they can't dispose it, and they can try, but they can't feed it all to other animals. So it ends up in candy and the form of jelly stuff. Now, alternatively, there are many companies that have moved away from the gelatin and use fruit pectin. So those are the jellies that you should look out for. Read labels. Avoid gelatin. It's actually industrial waste that's been repurposed, just like the whey protein he's about to talk about. I'm sure he's going to talk about this.
And then that box is full of sweets and just various different things that we pick up.
I personally I used to carry like blocks, Cliff blocks, energy blocks, and the gel packets, and it's just too fake sugary. Like it's not even as good as real raw cane sugar. So I prefer there are these wonderful little organic fruit strips from Costco. They are literally just made of fruit and fruit juice, and it's about 60 calories each, and it's very light, very tasty, very easy to eat on the bike, and does not bother anybody. Not a single person has said, "Oh, my stomach went upside down and I can't ride anymore." Every single person I've offered it to said, "Thank you," asked for more, ended up buying their own, and they're now offering it back to me because they know it's good.
You've been eating that flapjack, you've been eating regularly whilst you ride, and that keeps your energy up. But it's always worth having just some sugar in your pocket just to give you that boost if you do really need it. Tip number 4 is to have a protein shake
Failure.
after a workout or a ride.
more industrial waste byproduct that's been repurposed. This is not food.
Now, protein is really essential for rebuilding your muscle and helping you recover properly, and the vast majority of people don't get enough protein.
Actually, that is not true. Most people are getting way more than enough protein. You only need about 10% of your total calories from protein to sustain yourself, and slightly more if you're an actual athlete. So maybe 15, 20% would be optimal if you're an athlete. But nowhere does it say, does anyone needs to recover with industrial waste byproduct of the dairy industry. Um, so, as you know, pasteurization occurs to most dairy products, which basically is boiling the dairy to a certain temperature to kill all your possible bacteria and viruses that associated with animal feces in the dairy industry. So, in order to prevent you from dying and also to make the milk products last longer and to make cheese, they boil these massive vats of dairy milk. And whey protein is literally the stuff that sticks to the walls of these massive pasteurization tanks. And they scrape it off the tanks and they chemically treat it and purify it and process it and reprocess it and flavor it and package it in these wonderful, easily shippable containers that this guy's going to give you a discount code for. And you're supposed to you, human being, are the target endpoint of this product. You're supposed to be the disposal and literally eat it, get constipated, block most of your nutrients if you're actually getting any, as we'll analyze and chronometer. This guy didn't even get any vitamins today. You're just setting yourself up for constipation and digestive problems. This whey protein is linked to terrible acne, terrible digestive problems like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, colon cancer, and definitely is, since it's a high protein product, is going to stimulate high release of acid in your stomach in order to digest it.
In the diet. So having a protein shake is a really, really easy way to make sure you get enough protein.
Yeah, and Mr. Lactose Intolerant who can't tolerate dairy products is still promoting dairy products. You can actually get a plant-based protein made out of plants. Can you imagine? Amino acids are what you actually need, not specific protein chains from animals. You need amino acids because you have to make your own protein in your own liver using these building blocks of life, which are called amino acids. And guess where amino acids come from? Only. They only come from plants in nature because something called photosynthesis has to happen in order to form them. Only plants can make amino acids. And we are getting maybe fourth or fifth hand protein by eating an animal instead of eating the plants where it comes from.
Protein into your diet and make sure you start that recovery process soon after a workout.
Recovery for muscles is better done by replenishing your glycogen stores. The energy that you use while riding your bike comes from glycogen, which is stored in your muscles and liver. So the best way to recover is to literally refill the gas tanks of your car, which to your body equivalent is your muscle and liver, and they accept carbohydrates in the form of glycogen. This guy is completely telling you the wrong thing. So he's saying, come home, have this industrial waste byproduct smoothie with, I'm sure he's not going to tell you to have a banana or fruits along with it. Just mix it with water. It's going to become first fat because all this processed protein first has to be converted to free fatty acids, and then it has to be remetabolized by the liver.
Workout. Now, contrary to popular belief, there's nothing special about a protein shake. They don't help you with they don't automatically build muscle for you. I was talking to a friend of one of my clients the other day, female, and she said, if I have a protein shake like this, I'm going to build big muscles. And she was like, I want to tone up. If I have a protein shake and don't go to the gym, is that going to make a difference? And like the answer to that is just no. Like all protein is whey protein like this It's derived from cheese. So in the factories, when they've got like big cheese plants, they just scrape the barrel at the end of it, break it all down, and make whey protein from it. So it's just
It's
protein
literally industrial waste, and he's telling you to eat it as if it's some form of superfood. It's garbage. Do not eat that. If you want a good protein powder, get one that's made from plants. Pea protein is excellent. Pumpkin protein is excellent. Brown rice protein is excellent. There's all kinds of blends. You don't have to get only one type. There's quinoa. There's It all tastes good because it's flavored with fruits and chocolate and vanilla. These are also flavors that come from plants. And instead of flavoring an industrial waste byproduct, you can actually use flavored whole foods that have been minimally processed into protein powders. Not like this terrible industrial waste that he's trying to tell you that's good for you. It's not good for you.
derived from dairy. That's all it is. There's nothing special about it. It's not that different to drinking a glass of milk. Except the benefit over drinking milk is that it's lowering fat, so you digest it much quicker, so it gets into your bloodstream. It's just kind of pure protein. But
Broscience.
you want to get into the habit, really, of just having a scoop of protein mixed with water. So after a ride or a workout,
False. You should come home and have a smoothie with lots of fruit, fresh, ripe bananas, mangoes, frozen mangoes, cherries, berries, nuts or seeds, soy milk, almond milk, chia milk, hemp milk, cashew milk, any one of these things. Loads of greens, lots of nitric oxide containing spinach, kale, beets. These flax seeds, they open up your arteries. They help bring more blood to your tissues. They help oxygenate your body better. They help deliver your carbohydrates better.
you just put one scoop of protein. Protein shakes come with a
Pardon me, from your bloodstream to your muscles.
scooper like that. So you just get one scoop of protein, kind of that
One scoop of industrial waste byproduct.
size. Knock it into your shaker. Fill your protein shaker up about halfway. If you do a full
Really, man? People have definitely seen how to make a smoothie shaker with a shaker before. This is like insulting at this point.
it's just protein. It just helps your body recover.
It
Another
doesn't. Wait,
after
what?
a ride, it just helps your body recover. So it's a great idea for the vast majority of people watching.
He literally just said it doesn't really work that way. And now he's saying, oh, it's just protein. It helps your body recover. No, what actually helps your body recover is replenishing the fuel source you just used. You didn't burn protein. You didn't burn protein. You definitely didn't burn protein. You have to be like starving for a significant long time in calorie deficit for days, if not weeks, before you start burning actual protein. You have to go through all your body fat first. So this is just absolute nonsense.
In this video to have one after a ride or after a workout. Another thing I like to take in the morning with my breakfast as well is a couple of supplements. Now,
I predict fish oil because we'll see.
over the years, I've tried loads of different supplements. There's two things that I always take because I find they actually make a difference. So the first one is a multivitamin, and the second one is Eskimo 3 Brain Sharp Omega-3 fish oils.
Knew it. Omega-3 fish oils. Stop it right there. Omega-3 fish oil is literally it's one of the most disgusting things ever made that I've ever learned about. So where does this come from? They take all the little excess body parts that people don't want to eat from the seafood industry, like bones, heads, fins, organs, literally because people only want to eat the fish muscle. They don't want to eat the actual fish because it's not really appetizing or delicious. These little fish bits and fragments that are left over are then put in a giant press and squeezed for their quote unquote oil, which is then packaged into the little jars that he's holding in little capsules and pills, and then sits on a shelf unrefrigerated for months or years until someone decides to stock them in their store and try to sell it to you. Now, the actual omega-3s that you would want is not from fish, uh, definitely not from seafood industry, another repurposed industrial waste byproduct like whey was. You'd actually want to go for chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds. These are the highest and best sources of omega-3 that are actually absorbable and are not rancid because they haven't been sitting around for years in a warehouse in boxes and crates and improperly stored and not refrigerated. Buy flax seeds, put them at the bottom of your blender when you make a smoothie. This will break the seeds open, allowing you to absorb their wonderful essential fatty acid omega 3s better. Chia seeds, hemp seeds make any smoothie incredibly creamy, and these are easily added to oatmeal.
Now I've tried loads of different brands, and these are the two best ones that I find. I find that the multivitamin by Solgar, so I think this is Solgar Formula B 2000, I'll get it on the screen bigger for you, and the
And of course, he needs this because we're going to break down what he ate, and you'll see that he's actually not really getting many vitamins during his breakfast that he told you to eat here. So look, it says here it's suitable for vegans. Interesting. Can you imagine?
olive oil, sorry, not the olive oil, the omega-3 oil is your
Yeah, he eats olive oil for breakfast.
Eskimo 3 Brain Shark. I find with these two products, they actually make a difference. The omega-3, I find my energy's higher, my concentration and my memory and things are genuinely better when I take.
You can get the same benefits of omega-3s without industrial waste animal products. You can just get it from the actual source. Like the fish are not generating omega-3. They're not the source of omega-3. They bioaccumulate it from eating algae. So you can get an algae supplement, algae oil supplement, or you can get omega-3s from real foods like hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds. Those are the highest forms of sources. But you can also get omega-3 from oats. You can also get it from soy milk. You can also get it from all the beans. You can get it from most of the whole grains and whole grain breads and flours and pastas. It's put out there in good faith, like, yes, we do want people to get better, but like when you actually try to apply this consistently over a long period of time, it's going to create problems and it's going to cause more problems than you're solving. And if anything, will slow you down as you're training or as you're working out. Literally, if you eat some of this stuff and then hop on your bike, you're gonna get sick while you're trying to ride your bike. You're not going to feel comfortable. You're not going to have optimum blood flow. Your digestive tract is going to feel like there's a cement truck churning around inside of you. And you may have gas and bloating and all kinds of problems and pain. And you're not going to concentrate on doing a good job because of all this discomfort. I've been there.
And the multivitamin I find just keeps making sure that I've got all the basic minerals and vitamins in my system that I need. It's not an advert, I don't get any kickbacks, but these are the two products that I use. They're quite expensive, but they're worth spending the extra money on.
So let's see. What did he eat for breakfast, right? The gentleman actually said he has 3 eggs for breakfast. So now let's look at what actually happens to his blood fat levels because he's worried about his blood sugar levels, but he doesn't care about his blood fat levels. Look, there's the actual exclamation point right next to it. 252% of your total fat in one meal from 3 eggs. These are not health foods at in any form. How is this going to help you ride your bike when you've got 40 grams of fat floating around your blood and you're only supposed to get a maximum of maybe 15? Saturated fat, 11 grams. This is supposed to be as little as possible. Like cholesterol, 195%. 195%. This is terribly irresponsible information to be putting out there and promoting. This is what drives cardiovascular disease. This is why heart disease is the number one killer of people on the planet. And it's not happening because people are eating too much fruit. It's happening because they're eating too much fat, which is clogging your arteries. Right here. This is it. This is the eggs. This is the animal cholesterol. This is the saturated fat. Literally all of it. Inflaming your arteries and depositing where it does not belong. Sorry, man. MTB Fatness sounds like more like the channel actual title. Let's see what kind of fat. Lipids, fat. All of it is mostly saturated fat, which you're trying to avoid. Every single heart association in the world is unanimously saying to avoid and limit your saturated fat intake to as little as possible. Your omega 3s are minuscule, even though you're eating eggs. You're getting way more omega 6. Omega 6 is pro inflammation. Almost zero of his energy is coming from actually from carbs because he wants to keep his blood sugar stable, but he's also terrorizing his arteries and liver. 46.8 grams of fat, 608 milligrams of cholesterol. That's what you're supposed to get in 2 days. He only got this from one single meal. Highly irresponsible. This will not promote your sports performance, and it will only be a detriment. If you do well and you do something like this every day, your body is barely surviving. It's not thriving. If you would stop doing this every day and replace it with potatoes at nighttime and fruits and smoothies and juices in the morning and put some raw cane sugar or maple syrup in your water bottle, then you wouldn't feel like it's such a horrible thing. You would just have energy and you would be able to go. And you wouldn't have really bad blood work as a result of all this fat intake. Way too many eggs. Three. Let's make this three one. Milk, cheese, and oil. So now let's see what that looks like. And look, cholesterol, 70% of your daily intake from 1 cup of milk and 1 egg. This is not good advice. You barely got any protein. And look at the proteins. Like no alanine, no arginine, no aspartic acid, no glutamic acid. All of these are zero. Proline and serine. These are like incredibly important. Leucine, tiny amount. This is the gateway that opens up the protein doors to cells to allow more protein and amino acids to enter and function in muscle protein synthesis. Minerals. You got a little bit of iodine, a little bit of phosphorus, a little bit of selenium. Other than that, even your calcium is terrible. Vitamin D, you get more from the sun than from this milk, which is added to the milk. It's not even in the milk. Oh, good thing you got some B12. Barely any B3, which is extremely important. Zero, almost zero folate. Barely any vitamin A. Eggs are supposed to be such a great source of vitamin A. And total, 400 calories. This is a very weak breakfast. Very weak breakfast. So no, I would never recommend anyone to eat this stuff before going on a ride. I'm sorry. And now let's see what happens when we eat this egg every day. Randomized trials have demonstrated that egg consumption could raise the levels of serum cholesterol, a well-established and powerful factor in the development of atherosclerosis, indicated that frequent egg consumption reflected unhealthy lifestyle, including smoking, less physical activity, and many unhealthy eating patterns, because people who think that eggs are healthy also think that other animal fats are healthy and eat them in abundance. High egg consumption may be harmful to health status. Consistent with these evidence revealed a positive association between egg consumption and risk of cardiovascular disease. In addition, the harmful effect of egg intake to the risk of cardiovascular disease are affected by other metabolic factors. Diabetes patients seem to have a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, and her meta-analysis supports that egg consumption should be restricted to the target population which have high risk of cardiovascular disease. That's pretty much everybody. It's the number one cause of death. In conclusion, there is positive dose response association between egg consumption and the risk of cardiovascular disease and diabetes. Here's the actual study, because most of the time people only read the abstract, and me being an actual doctor and scientist, I can show you and obtain the actual research paper, and we can review what it actually says. So this is what we're talking about when we eat eggs and animal products and cheese and milk and oil and processed foods every day. You start out like this, and by the age of 10, you start forming a plaque, and by the time you're 35, 40, you start having more plaques depositing. So you see normal, then this is how it starts when you're around 10, and this is where you're at when you're at around 30, and this is where you're at when you're around 45, 50 if you eat the standard American diet. And this process is accelerated on a keto diet, low carb diet, Atkins diet, primal diet, carnivore diet. All these fad diets are just the same high fat, high protein diet with a different label on them. None of them are going to remove this fat from your arteries. It's only going to add more to it. And it will definitely not help your sports performance when your blood is trying to flow through an occlusion instead of being nice and free flowing like in this picture here. You end up with this problem where blood literally cannot go past your blockages.
Thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like to watch
Now, I'm sure Mr. MTBFitness, wonderful gentleman, and he seems like he means well and he's sincere, but unfortunately, sincerely wrong in many of these points that he put forward. And it's not his fault. It's a recurring theme across the industry of fitness. It's what everyone else has been repeating and parroting for years. So good luck to you, Mr. MTB Fitness. I hope you can accept my criticism of your video and maybe make some changes to your own life. It seems like you're proactive about a lot of things, but unfortunately you're just headed in the wrong direction because somebody misled you or misinformed you from the beginning. And it's prevalent in every single form of online fitness and online influencing. Of course, except in the plant-based high carb community, which we just tell you eat your fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and if you need any supplements at all, they're probably going to be V12, which everyone should be on, and vitamin D, which nobody's getting enough of on any diet and is incredibly important for bone health. Maybe a multivitamin like this gentleman is taking is not a bad idea, considering the types of breakfast he has, which barely has any vitamins at all. So, if you like this critique and you want to hear advice on what to eat to ride, or what to eat to train, or what to eat to reverse and prevent 14 of the top 15 causes of death, including heart disease, which is the number one cause of death, then tune in for more Plant Powered MTB. Hit me up if you need help. I'm glad to help you out and guide you along your plant based journey in whatever degree it may be. You do not have to go 100% vegan. You can do whatever you want as long as you start implementing more fruits and real food, whole food carbohydrates, then you're going to see a benefit to your performance. And if you do have vegan days, Pay attention to what happens to you. Do you feel better? Did you have more energy? Did you get better sleep? Did you have amazing poops? Yes, poops. Have a nice day and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.